quick update from Beijing here, where I'm preparing my visit to the Beijing Auto Show. And well, first of all, I'm here on the ground since a couple of days now, and seeing quite more foreigners, international travelers, possibly some people, for example, German backpackers here, making use of the new visa-free regulation, meaning you don't have to get a visa for entering China. A couple of countries like Germany are in this beneficiary situation, and so it's opening up here, and you can see more international travel picking up again in comparison to last year when I was here, when China just opened up after COVID. More on that in future videos. Today I want to talk a little bit about initial impressions that I'm having here on the ground when it comes to the EV scene, because in the next couple of days you will be overwhelmed with lots of updates about new cars coming out. Every manufacturer will be trying to push out new stuff like NIO. The only one possibly going to be absent will be Tesla. They are having not a legacy of being part of auto shows, and they also have nothing new in the portfolio, but they've just updated the Model 3 with the Highland, right? So for NIO we can expect the 2024 models, the ET7 most prominent here with updated interior. And I doubt that we're gonna see the sub-brand, but let's see. As I mentioned before, I'll be here for a bit longer, so if it's not for the Beijing Auto Show, I'm hoping to get my hands on the Onvo brand later here in China. But let me just say so much, a couple of impressions that I had now with visiting the first showroom. So I'm trying to see a couple of new brands that I didn't experience so far during my last visits. I mean, I know most of the brands. I've done test drives, I've visited the showrooms and so on frequently. This time looking at the updated models and at a couple of brands that I didn't know before, but one that springs to my mind, which I saw yesterday, is the Li Auto Mega. So we've got news today that Li Auto is slashing prices. The stock is reacting heavily to that with a sell-off, and I think parts of that is because of the fact that not only are they adjusting prices downwards, but also, and that might indicate weak demand, who knows, is this peak hybrid and range extended vehicles? We're about to find out. But also in addition to that, they even are paying compensation to existing owners. So I've seen up to 15,000 RMBs being deposited back to existing owners. They've already got the car, they already purchased it, and that's in China usually because owners can get quite upset with price cuts. And well, that's now the normality here in China in these fierce battles, and hopefully NIO can continue to stay mostly out of that in the future, who knows. Speaking of NIO, actually there are people who are saying that store traffic has been quite good at NIO recently, and that's coming as a surprise because you know, many people saw weakness in NIO. If you look at the stock price, certainly, but also are not satisfied with the sales. However, it seems like it's currently some other brands which are starting to struggle, such as the example of Li Auto. So that's somebody who's been recognized for being very, very strong in sales, right? And that's not even a pure electric player there with the Mega, as I mentioned, being the first real EV, and that's not selling in volumes yet. So a little bit of a disappointer here, to be honest. In my personal view, also the first thing that I saw about the Mega wasn't it wasn't really exciting, to be honest. I think the design didn't blow me away from the exterior, just visiting it in person. I have to be honest, I liked the design before in terms of the pictures and videos that I've seen. I like controversial designs. I think I mentioned that before, but when I saw it in person, it's really like, well, I can see why this is really splitting people into the group of those who don't like it and those who are really liking it. And especially when it comes to the interior, I just got the feeling that, again, this is, well, first of all, it's nothing new. The interior is the same as in the other Li Auto cars, and then the quality still isn't as great as, for example, as a NIO. And generally my takeaway with some of the first visits with other shops, like for example, the Huawei store, looking at the Luxeed or Jitsi brands there, which is sold in Huawei stores. You know, the quality, sorry to say, you know, on paper, it's ticking every single box, and it's the fastest, it's the cheapest, the most features and whatever. But once you enter the car, it's like, yeah, it's just me, maybe it's my personal opinion, but I wouldn't buy it, right? Even if it's a bargain, and even if it's looking very attractive and stuff. So it kind of rather leads me to the opinion that, you know, NIO still is on the right way with their product portfolio, and really is standing out of this crowd of different brands, those Me Too brands. Certainly those Me Too brands make it very difficult for NIO to you know, to sell, to get higher market share currently. But you know, again, the facts are still that NIO in its price segment has around 40% of market share, right? So all in all, I have to say that's kind of where it comes down to. If I look at these other shops and players, for example, also Leap Motor, which I didn't see previously. This time I looked at them again because, of course, Stellantis also taking a share in them. It's just a kind of a cheap knockoff of Li Auto and NIO combined in a way. It's even better done than some of the other competitors out there, but ultimately for me it comes down to the fact that, you know, there's lots of stuff that is not as innovative, not ecosystem approach, not on a quality level that I'd like to see it as a competition to established players. And so yeah, just speaking from the top of my head here, giving you a couple of thoughts about my feelings, right? It's very my individual opinion, so definitely, as always, it's not financial advice, don't trade on that, but just want to give you straight my thoughts from the head here. Also, yesterday we had an event about NIO and self-driving. I think I made a video about the fully automated battery swap stations, and what I'd really like here, my perception that monetization of swap stations becoming increasingly important and also top of the mind of NIO management, given that Xinfei going out there and mentioning this, that the efficiency can be doubled, that it can be monetized in a certain way. And now, after my video, Li Bin also made a self-driving test here in Beijing. Actually, I believe there has been one famous intervention in which the car was stuck behind an accident, traffic, and had to stop, and it's not overtaking it because it wouldn't violate the road laws, which means that it can't change the lane if there's a straight strike-through line. And so it's showing some of the not so human-like scenarios of driving of the NIO NOP Plus system there, which are still hopefully going to increase and improve at some point. But overall, what I think we're going to see here on this autonomous driving side as well is a faster pace now towards monetization. I think that must be the bottom line here, given the fact that NIO will be rolling it out by the end of the month, going into May. This will be available to more and many more users, which will ultimately go and pay monthly fees. I wouldn't be surprised if in the beginning this will be offered again sometimes as discounts and coupon codes and so on, in order to lure in more buyers and to get more people familiar with the system, and that people can start talking about it word to mouth, like similar to what they've done with battery swapping. However, the long run here is still when the value proposition of the system, namely more safety and better utilization, better energy, that's how Li Bin called it, freeing energy for the users, freeing time for the users. Once those things prove to be correct, like for example here in this heavy traffic in Beijing, people have to, you know, spend lots of time in there. The system can easily overtake these tasks, and therefore freeing time and energy for users. And therefore, if this proves to be a value proposition where people like to pay, where it shows that this is better than what competitors have, and therefore also increasingly more buyers will go to NIO because it's simply the better system based on the compute power, on the algorithms, on the LiDAR system and so on. Then we will see, I think, the fastest adoption here in China, and I think it will be very well received as some sort of a premium quality update on the software side. So it's kind of fitting very well with the value proposition and the branding and the positioning of NIO overall. And of course, and I've seen the questions around this, will this lead to robo-taxis, yes or no? And yeah, the controversial remarks here by Li Bin, whether or not this should take away jobs of the plain taxi drivers and so on. Well, let me say so much. I think NIO cars, at least in China, are not for taxi drivers, right? Will NIO be capable of having cars that go from A to B fully autonomously? Most likely they will. Is there a case for battery swapping, for fully autonomous replenishing of power that NIO can unlock? Definitely there is. But is this a value proposition for buying a NIO car? I don't think so, really. I think people buying NIO cars, they want to be in a car and have a certain premium to luxury experience, more connected to these USPs that I just mentioned, but they're not gonna use it as a robo-cab that they're gonna rent out. That doesn't mean that NIO ultimately doesn't have the technology or will at some point dip into this business model, in my point of view. As I said, I think here it's about a short-term win, which starts in next month, based on the technology that is currently available, not something that is 5 years out, 10 years out when the last edge case has been solved. So this is more immediate, and therefore should hopefully also more immediate bring some revenues that are high margin, or at least, you know, have these spill over effects on sales. That's my opinion. And then the future is still, you know, all in on what can be done with this technology afterwards. But I have my doubts whether or not this will be, you know, with what has been presented yesterday by Li Bin and NIO. That's for now, couple of thoughts. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next videos.